Welcome, everyone. I am John Ryan, and you are watching the excuse me the NBA Triple Double Show, powered by SportsMemo TV and the Predictive Playbook cast of shows. And I'm joined, as always, with my co-host Ronald Cabang. Welcome to the show, Ronald. How are things in the sporting world treating you? Anything special going on over at Sports Memo?
Nothing right now posted, but I do have a couple looks in the WNBA, and I do have my looks for NBA ready for tomorrow. So, excited for this, the rest of this NBA Finals here. It's a great matchup.
Yeah, especially now that it's even 1-1.
Yeah.
It's fortuitous. I didn't really like the side in the game two, but my models had the correct side and total, both 4%ers. So we're
Hmm.
back at that 70% against the spread record over the last 50 now. And honestly, I can't remember a streak lasting this long where I was even above 67% for this stretch. So obviously things are going my way. We couldn't have had a better third quarter with the way the Warriors came out, and the Warriors are the highest scoring differential in the third quarter in the NBA this year. So it
Hmm.
shouldn't be any surprise. I do think, Ronald, what is a surprise is how the gap of that third quarter in terms of scoring. Granted, Poole launched that three-pointer from half court, so maybe it was 3 points less as bad.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm wondering how big an impact that's going to have on the players of the Celtics, knowing just what I just said, the fact that they are the best team coming out of the break. Steve Kerr has a coaching record that is probably in the playoffs, I would say second to Spoelstra, maybe not even second to anybody.
Yeah.
And you have a rookie head coach that's doing a great job. But what impact is there any intimidation factor now from the
Hmm.
Warriors being the three-time world champs and the Celtics trying to get their first one?
Yeah, I think the coaching aspect was from me in my betting circle was a little bit mixed. A lot of people were expecting Udoka to, even though being a rookie, they were expecting the experience factor to not play a role here. But from what I've seen, the adjustments made after halftime have made a big difference, right? Like, what if the Boston Celtics didn't go 40 to what was it, to like 18 or whatever it was in game one? If they didn't catch fire that in the fourth quarter, this could be a 2-0 series right now. So to me, I think Boston's going to need to make the proper adjustments here. That they've got 2 games under their belt here, um, in the NBA Finals. They took one. They took one of the games over on the road here, and they're going to need to stick this home court advantage here in Boston. And the way that they do that is to not make the same mistakes after the third quarter. They've started the games well. They just need to finish them. They need to finish them well. They need to at least stay close, a lot closer than the 20-point gap that we're seeing in the third quarter here in games one and two.
Yeah, and for tomorrow, I'm going to do a little query that you and I know what that is. We do a lot of database work and we ask questions. And one of the questions I'm going to ask it, Ronald, is has an NBA team ever won the NBA championship after losing any quarter by more than 20 points?
Oh, that's a wild one. That'd be
I
pretty cool to
don't know.
see.
I don't know what the answer is,
Yeah, and they
but
did
we
it.
will
They did
find
it
out from you.
twice. They've lost 2 quarters by wide margin like that. So it's gonna be cool. Cool to see.
And
Yeah, I wanna know.
also the fourth quarter in game one too. That comes into play here
Oh
as
yeah,
well.
the other way
So
around. Yeah.
yeah, if I'm not careful, the query is going to say that nobody's going to win this series. I'll get a 0 and 14.
that's that's just gonna mean that it's gonna go 7 games, isn't it?
I think you're right. And per your stat, I think it was what 25% of the NBA Finals go 7 games,
Yep.
which you would discount, and we were kind of leaning six. Now it might be time to lean to the seven.
To the seven. Yeah.
Um, I put pizza money on the six, but speaking of wild bets, let's go over to the prop bet here and see what they have for. This is BetMGM. I'm looking at specifically that it ends in five.
Mhm.
that the Warriors have sent such a message right now that they're going to win Game 3, and say they win in dominating fashion from start to finish. They're then going to go back to San Francisco. They're in Oakland
Mhm.
and play a home game, which they should win. And then it would have to be another game, I believe, in Boston to end it. But I know it's not likely to happen, but I think the odds, if I can just find it here, that it ends in 5, um, is worth the shot. Like with pizza money, like, and I literally mean like $20.
Yeah.
Um, I'll keep looking for this. Is there anything that you see in the betting markets that is interesting, similar to that, or even like a player prop or
Uh,
MVP?
well, I mean, MVP wise, we were asking, with game one on the Boston side, we were looking at Horford and Jalen Brown, right? They had two great games. So two players that had a great game there. Even Derek White. And then we were saying, well, Jason Tatum's probably out of the picture now because of how he did in game one. Well, Jason Tatum performs in game two, and Horford and Jalen Brown, they struggle. The one guy that stays sort of consistent here is Derek White. He played well in the first half. In the second half, he kind of struggled here. But I think the biggest factor is just moving forward. Now everyone there's like a even kill on the Boston side, but then on the Golden State side, Curry just continues to dominate his matchup here. We talked about how well Marcus Smart defended Curry throughout their career, and Curry's not shooting like a exceptional percentage, right? He went 9 for 21, but it's still the fact that he's able to score 29 points, and they were able to get the W is what matters the most. So I don't know. There's the whole MVP race is well, I think clear cut on the Golden State side. It should be Curry. If they win it on the Boston side, everything kind of evened out after game two. So we'll see how that goes on that side.
Yeah, and I do have a strong opinion on Tatum still being as high as he is. I just don't see the stats. His plus minus was what, minus 37 in game 2, which I believe is an NBA record. Bad
Yeah,
for a starter in the finals, or at least it's in the top 5 worst. And
yeah,
the way they evaluate MVP now and the way the voting goes, I would think that he would have to score 50 in game 6 to win the championship, or game 7.
Mhm.
Maybe 45 or more. But it would have to be something historical to offset the historical um, horrible game that he played in game 2. He just
yeah.
seems,
I don't.
mentions it,
I
and maybe
don't.
I'm dead wrong, but it just seems like he goes through lapses on defense. And
mm,
maybe it's not waving his arms at the ref anymore, but it just seems like as soon as he gets that second foul, he's avoiding contact like it's the plague.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's kind of crazy just because you talk about the minus 36 here in the NBA Finals. The last time he had anything minus 30 around there was back in November,
Wow.
November 24th. So it's not like he's had a performance like that as far as plus minus. It's not a consistent thing here. He did follow it up with a minus 13. So it's not like he necessarily bounces back after a performance like that from a plus minus perspective. Um, so, to me, though, I think this is a spot that the Golden State Warriors should be able to take advantage of here at home, coming off of a loss. That a lot of people talk about the revenge factor here and how well Boston has done in games coming off of a loss. I think that to me, do you think that trend kind of continues here? Golden State has to travel. Both teams have to travel here from west to east, and Golden State hasn't done that often in the regular season. Going from home to a road non-conference game. And I don't think they performed well in those situations either. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm going to query it, and we can do that by using time zones. But this is the furthest distance between the two cities in the NBA Finals.
Yeah.
And some people have said to me, "Well, wait a minute, Los Angeles and New York and Los Angeles and Philadelphia." Well, no, it's actually further the way a jet would fly from San Francisco, Oakland area
Yeah.
to Boston. Boston is further east, much further east than Philadelphia or New York. So you're right. I mean, it's probably an extra 45 minutes on the flight from east to west, which would be normally, say, LA to New York.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
that is an interesting take. And I think that's why the NBA obviously adopted the 2 games rest, and why there is only 1 game between games 3 and games 4, because they're both at Boston.
Mm-hmm.
But that is a good point. And I do know at the NBA level, a lot of these teams, if not all of them, really take what they call high altitude dehydration seriously. And that doesn't mean that they were out drinking too much the night before. What it means is exactly these flights. It's not playing at high altitude like at Denver. They're talking about the toll it takes and jet lag. And jet lag is simply dehydration. That's what causes it.
Yeah.
So in our day and age, we have all kinds of drinks. The acai drinks, I know a lot of them take. But this is a hydration process. I know this as an athlete. If you're competing on Saturday, you got to start on Tuesday. You can't start on Friday afternoon. You'll never catch up. And all you'll be doing is running to the locker room on every single time out.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
But I think that is a big factor. I'm sure both teams have that handled pretty well. But having the 2 days instead of just 1, or playing on back-to-backs, where Golden State would have to go. But we'll have to look at that. We'll have to look at rest as a parameter, and we'll present that tomorrow, because that ought to be pretty darn interesting. Even if it doesn't produce any betting opportunity or even a lean, even if it comes out 9-9, well, at least we know.
Yeah.
And that is part of the handicapping process. A lot of the stuff you and I look at, it never makes it to the report that the clients read.
Yeah. No, it doesn't. I definitely agree there. What can I ask you also another question here?
Sure.
So Golden State, they were always a good home team, right? We talked about that, how well they performed at home, and during the playoffs, Boston has been a good road team. And now we're going back to Boston, where Boston hasn't performed as well at home, and then Golden State hasn't performed well on the road. It's almost like the opposites here, and you can kind of see how they split the games on the Warriors side. And going to Boston, do you think this is another situation where the trends kind of balance out again, and they split another series here in Boston?
Well, personally, I would like nothing more to see this thing reduced to a best of 3. And then you're pretty much guaranteed to see 7. Because it is a very interesting, exciting type of series, because you really don't know what's going to happen next. I do think that the experience factor now definitely is big time in the corner of the Warriors. And, it's like the Sharks. They smell blood in the water. And actually, I don't think sharks smell, do they? They just know, or something like that. I forget what that is about sharks, but sharks are dangerous. And the Warriors are dangerous right now, knowing that with all that experience of 3 championships and being to the finals 6 years now, the last 8, they know what to do. And they know that they potentially have Boston on the ropes here. It would only be 2 games to 1, but if they hammer them in game 3, it might be difficult for a team as talented and as good as Boston to bounce back in game 4. But I'll have to take it one game at a time. But personally, I think that's the game plan for the Warriors, is to come out and try to get that crowd out of the game and see what happens. And to your point, Boston has not been good at home.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, both teams were good in their situations on the Warriors at home, Celtics on the road. Now both teams kind of struggle. Warriors on the road, Celtics at home. It's just an interesting note to bring into that capping into the capping aspect of it. That's It's pretty. To me, I would love to see this go 7 games. I know we talked about how the finals have not gone 7 games at a high rate. Only 25% of
Right?
the 75 finals so far have gone to 7 games. But I think this is one of the series that might end up going that the distance here. And I think for me, the line is telling us that these two teams are evenly matched.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah.
We
Yep.
said that in the pre NBA final show that
Yeah, we did. Mm-hmm.
the line would probably be ranging between -4 and -4, meaning -4 for the home team, whether it's the Warriors or Boston. And sure enough, we're at 3.5 right now.
Yep. Yep.
And the total is what is the total right now?
212.5, I think. Let me
Yeah,
double check.
so you certainly don't see Boston scoring in the 80s again, or scoring 30 some points in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't at this time. I don't have anything on the total. I will tomorrow though after I run the models. But do you have any leans initially right now in the total?
To me, it would probably be towards the under. One thing that I don't know if you do this, but one thing that I added to my capping is listening to the post game pressers and how we feel like the players are planning to adjust, or the coaches are planning to adjust. And one thing that I noticed was Jaylen Brown mentioned the physicality that Golden State brought here in this game too, and they brought it early. And especially with Draymond, you can kind of see that. And to me, he got away with a lot of excessive physical,
He did.
physicality, right? And I think what Jaylen Brown was saying that is that they want to match that. And to me, if they do that, right, and they play overly physical and things like that, are the refs going to call it the same way, right?
Right.
Are they going to make the adjustments to call these fouls early? And if they do that, that means players are going to get in foul trouble. It's going to open up the offense because people, like you mentioned, Tatum, once he gets those 2 fouls, he steps back, right? So, if that happens to a lot of the key players here, the defense they're gonna have a lot of less pressure defensively, and offenses are going to be able to score a little bit more, right? So that's one thing to know on the total is maybe we take a step back here in the first quarter, or at least to see how the refs are managing this game, and then take a live look towards the over and under based on what we see.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I agree with you. I think what you were driving at is the Boston game plan has to be not to match the physicality of Draymond Green because he's an individual. I think it's to avoid it.
Mhm.
I think Boston is much better off if they don't try to compete with that intensity that Draymond Green, to your point, got away with. I mean,
Yeah.
he really did cross the line there a couple of times, and he got away with it. He won't get away with it in Boston.
Yeah.
That I think is fair to say. We always talk about referees being consistent. Well, we're also wise enough to know that it's usually not that way, and the home calls are usually more apparent than the calls that go against a superstar that is the road team. But I think if they try to, if they waste time using Smart, for example, to be an instigator with Draymond Green to get him to get that technical foul and then maybe get the second one.
Yeah.
Um, Meanwhile, while they're trying to do that, Curry and Klay Thompson rip off 21 points and they're down 10. You know what I mean? That's the scenario. I don't know if and I could be dead wrong. It might work for them. I mean,
it's like I brought this that situation up to a couple Celtics fans, backers, and they were talking about how Boston they play physical as well, but I think it's a different type of game. Like they played physical against Milwaukee, they played physical against Miami, but at the same time it's a different level with guys like Draymond here, because it's not just also playing physical, it's the mind games behind it, right?
Yeah.
Like there's a little bit extra with Draymond, with what he brings to the table, and you can kind of see in Jaylen Brown's presser post game he was really frustrated with it, and he felt like he got taken out of the game for no reason, because of how he messes with the game. And so I think there's a point where you got to stick with your game plan and not go too far off of it just to match the other team's intensity there. I think Boston needs to stick with their own game plan.
Yeah, there's a lot of trash talking. Just watch the guys as they line up along the lane for a free throw, and they start going like this, and
Yeah.
they're
You can
facing.
see it.
Yeah, I
You can
mean,
see the
I can't
reaction.
imagine what's being said. It's probably not.
Yeah.
I want to go to Taco Bell after the game. Do you want to join me? It's probably nothing like that.
Yeah. What can I got some other questions, John, if you want to keep going
Sure.
here is I want to talk about let's see here. Oops, sorry. Clay Thompson, because you brought Clay Thompson's name up here, uh and you were saying if they mess with Smart and his defensive matchups here, and to mess with Draymond, and you have Curry and Thompson possibly going on a run. To me, I don't see Clay Thompson doing any types of scoring um, adjustments here. I think he's struggling, and I think it's something that's going to last in this matchup because Brown and Tatum are lengthy defenders. They're able to keep up with him, and they're playing the screens well. You see Clay and Curry doing their off ball movement, and he's just not taking the right shots, or he's it almost seems like he's forcing it. He has that narrative of him coming back from a tough injury, and he wants to play well in this series specifically, and maybe it's something that's getting to his head, or he just doesn't have it anymore. That's what it seems like to me. What are your thoughts on Clay there?
I agree with you. I think fundamentally he's rushing his shot. And one of the announcers actually mentioned that, but then I was hoping they were going to like expand on it, but the game changed and they didn't come back to it. But he was coming off of screens in game two, and they both have great quick releases, but it was almost like he was releasing the ball before he even had it.
Yeah.
And I think that fundamentally was a problem. Now, if that is the only thing in the way, I don't necessarily believe that. But you're right, he's struggling, and no matter who you are, it gets in your head. If you miss 6 in a row, I'm sure Steph Curry knows he missed 6 in a row. You can't tell me that you didn't miss 6 in a row. But the key, just like in all the other sports, I think, and I have done a lot of reading about the mental and the mind-body connection, not to get way off topic here, is that when Steph Curry misses 6 in a row, when he's taking that 7th one, he's not thinking at that time about missing the 6 previous.
Mm-hmm.
When he's jogging up and down the court, he goes, "Oh my God, I'm 1 for 7, man. What am I doing?"
Yeah.
And maybe it's not exactly like that, but golfers the same thing. They could be, "Oh my God, I have 5 birdies in a row. It's the U.S. Open."
Yeah.
They're going to double bogey the next 3 holes if they keep thinking like that. So there is a trick to turning that off so that when you're in the moment, you're truly in the moment. You're not thinking, "Oh my God, if I drain this putt, it'll be the 6th one in a row."
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. I remember when I was playing basketball back in the day, like if you're a scorer, right, you don't think about how many shots you missed. You're thinking about the next shot that you're gonna make, and but you do think about it like on the timeouts and stuff. You're like, damn, I missed those shots. But when you're on the court and you're playing a game that at this caliber, I feel like you're probably not thinking about it, and that's probably what's going on with Clay. He just continues to shoot here, 4 for 19 in the last game, 1 for 8 from 3. But it might be time for him to really figure out how he can make an impact differently. You know what I mean? Like he only had 1 assist. And you know what I mean? So it's tough though when you have guys like Draymond on the court who really can't shoot that well to pass to, but there's other guys that are capable of making it, and he just has to make the right decision here at this point, how to help his team the best way he can.
I was thinking too, a question for you with one of the goals might be for the Warriors to get Tatum 2 fouls as quickly as possible. And my initial thought, you'll laugh at this, was to do multiple screens until they get Draymond on him.
Mm-hmm.
And then Draymond does his train wreck thing. And, if he gets the call, he gets the call, but that could work both ways.
Yeah.
But Jordan Poole really was pretty impressive there. Granted, not in high pressure situations.
Yeah. Yeah.
but he contributed more in that game than he has in any other by far. And I'm wondering if that's the matchup where, if it ends up being a charge and Tatum gets the charge, it's not that big a deal. If Poole gets 2 fouls on him in the first quarter, it is a big deal if Green has 2 or Steph Curry has 2, for example.
Yeah.
So they can take I don't want to call Poole a pawn. There's a better word for that, a bishop in the chess game.
Yeah.
You're willing to sacrifice him to get Tatum in trouble.
Mhm.
And we all know then it becomes the Matador defense. And I don't know how else to describe it.
Yeah, I mean, you can do that. Go ahead and attack one of their key players there on Boston side, because but to me, I probably wouldn't put Poole on him. I would probably stick Peyton or Otto Porter on him.
They're
To
both
do
better.
to
They're both
yeah
better.
to do
Yep.
that type of work that you're trying to you're explaining there. Because one thing that we saw is Jordan Poole can he can take Pritchard pretty easily in the second unit. And if Boston is gonna bring in Pritchard at any moment in this game here, that's where Poole is going to be able to take advantage. Pritchard's not a great defender. Derek White, I think one of the big things here is, Derek White can do a lot of things for Boston, right? Both offensively, defensively. Smart, I don't know if he's still hurting, right? He's probably playing hurt here, and that's probably why he hasn't been able to kind of make the same impact that he has been. And then Rob Williams, he only played 14 minutes. I don't think he's healthy either. I think a lot of things are going to start to show up the longer this series goes for Boston here. One thing that a lot of Boston backers were mentioning is the depth of Boston, but if they're hurt, that and you get one key guy out of Tatum or Brown out with foul trouble, that's going to be an issue here. And then Golden State's going to start to be able to show their depth here, because Poole struggled in game one, because they were able to limit their Boston was able to limit their rotation, right? So they still had a key defender on Poole. Now you get in trouble, foul trouble here on Boston side, and you're bringing in guys like Pritchard, who has no defense. Poole's gonna take advantage of that. That's a good counter there. But if they don't get into foul trouble and Poole continues to play against guys like Jaylen Brown or Marcus Smart defensively, then that's where he's going to struggle. So like I said, I think that first quarter is going to be key on how we see the rest of the game going in game 3.
That's something for the viewers of this video to watch. And it's a chess game. And that is a good observation, Ronald, because if Pritchard comes into the game, wouldn't it be interesting that right away there's a slight delay because Poole is ripping off his jerseys to get into the game at the same time?
Yeah, I mean I can see that. I can see that happening, because that's his time to be able to give or that's Kerr's time to be able to give Curry some rest there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's a smart move. Once you see Pritchard, bring in Poole. And then you got Gary Payton there to play a little bit of defense and let Poole just kind of eat offensively. He's one of those guys, kind of like that is a spark plug off of the bench offensively. You just give him the ball, let him work with it, and let everyone else kind of play their role. So that's the way that I could see that going. It really just depends on how the first quarter plays off to go the rest of the way.
Yep. What do you think of Al Horford with that regression? We both, I think, mentioned the possibility that he wasn't going to have as good a game. Yeah. I didn't see him scoring only 2 points. I mean, that was pretty amazing.
Yeah. I mean, he first, I don't think he took, if I remember correctly, because I did a second half live reaction show on Sunday, and what I remember bringing up was Horford went 0 for 0 in the first half. Not a shot taken. Wow. Not a shot taken. So I think one thing that has to do with that was Tatum wasn't being the distributor that he was in game 1, right? Because Brown was out, and he was cooking from 3. He made a lot of his shots early, and he became a one-person team, and that kind of took away from what worked in game 1. So that might be something that correlates here. Is Tatum going to be a distributor and trust his teammates? Because Marcus Smart was only 1 for 6, Horford was 1 for 4, right? He's going to need to be a distributor and trust his teammates here. It
I
almost
agree
seems like it's
100%.
correlated. If it's a one-man team here with Tatum, Golden State's probably going to be able to play well. And I would much rather play a one-person team versus a five-person team, to be honest.
Yeah, and I could see Golden State every time Tatum gets the ball getting double teamed immediately and forcing him to give it up or take a contested three or some kind of contested shot. Even if they give up a layup dunk to Horford because Tatum makes a good pass, I think that's what you'll see is the double teaming immediately when Tatum gets the ball because he really is.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think White's going to keep going? I don't think so. I mean, it's a great story. Division II, I get the whole thing. I like how he plays. He plays with passion and enthusiasm, and he wants to win. He wants to help his team. And
I think with Derek White, we already saw a little bit of regression there. But I think we saw it when he was with the Spurs. He was a consistent player before he got hurt. He did a lot for that team there, and coming here he brings the same aspect. He can do both sides of the ball. He can play well both sides of the ball. But if he's not running overly hot, I don't know. It's just crazy how game 1 and game 2 were polar opposites of how it played out.
I agree.
Yeah.
Lastly, before we end the show here, I did find the exact series game order here. I'm looking at BetMGM, best of 7 series. This one is Celtics, Warriors, 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 Warriors. So it ends in 5, plus 750. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just going to throw $10 on just in case it does happen.
Yeah.
That at some point I can say I did it. I don't know. I have that feeling. I don't know anything about game 3. I don't know what my premium bets are even going to be yet.
Mm-hmm.
But if the Warriors win, say by 20, it could definitely go that way. And then it's not going to be plus 750 anymore.
Yeah.
Celtics, Warriors, Celtics, Warriors, Warriors, Warriors. So Celtics win game 3, but then the Warriors win the next 3. That's 10-1. What else can I show you here for Celtics fans? To scroll down here.
This is interesting to me. NBA series correct score after game 5. Celtics 3-2 is plus 105. Warriors 3-2 is plus 125.
That is interesting, and it's reflected in the Warriors win in 5. I said it was 750. Celtics win in 5 is plus 650.
Yep. This is some.
It is interesting.
This is a crazy stuff. And then if you look at a correct score for the whole series, Celtics 4-2 is plus 240. Warriors 4-3 is plus 210. So this is it's telling, right? Celtics, if Celtics win, they gotta win in 6. That's what it's telling me.
Betting odds go up through the roof for the Celtics winning game 7. So Celtics, Warriors, Warriors, Celtics, Warriors, Celtics, Celtics. They win game 6 and 7 to win it. Mm-hmm. And that's 22-1. Celtics win. The Celtics go down 3-1 and then come back and win 3 in a row. Is 50-1. I mean, well, anything is possible in this world. I mean, the Kentucky Derby guy horse was 80-1. So
yeah,
you can't say it's impossible, but
yeah. This is another interesting one. Correct score after game 4. So after both home games for Boston, Celtics 3-1 is plus 130. Warriors 3-1 is plus 400. And 2-2 is tie is minus 130. So obviously they're expecting a split here with minus 130 as a favorite.
Yeah,
it's just crazy to me that that Warriors 3-1 is plus 400. They don't expect Warriors to win both obviously.
I
But
just
that's interesting to see there.
tell me if I'm wrong with the thinking. The Warriors win 3 in a row to win 4 games to 1 in 5 games total. It's plus 750. 2 of those 3 wins have to be on the road. The Celtics winning in 5 are winning 2 games at home. And maybe that's why the line is actually plus 650 because of that home court advantage.
Yeah, they already stole it. They already stole one from Golden State. If they win both of these here, they're up 3-1. If they go back to Golden State and lose, they don't really care because they got another home game coming back in
Right.
Game 6.
But what I'm saying is if it ends in 5,
Oh yeah. They
the
got
reason that Warriors are 750 and Boston is 650 is because Boston plays 2 of those 3 games at home.
Yeah.
The Warriors are 2 out of 3 on the road. And I think that's probably why that is off by 100.
Yeah, makes sense.
But other than that, I other than taking a complete flyer, like I said, on the pizza money bet, which is probably not going to happen, I don't know how this series is going to play out. To your point, Boston's been terrible at home this playoffs, generally speaking.
Yeah.
The Warriors have to be smelling blood in the water after that third quarter. So they're going to. Both teams are going to bring the load. There's no question about that. But who's going to have more points at the end of the game? To try to project this out for 6 or 7 games and who's going to win, I think is maybe an exercise in futility. Just have to see how it goes game by game and then take it from there. But
yeah,
it is crazy.
Mm-hmm. What's cool here? So one thing to know, we talked about how series don't go to 7 games too often. A -1.5 series handicap for Warriors is plus 265. -1.5 Celtics series is plus 155.
It's a big difference.
Yeah, it's a pretty big difference there.
I'm wondering if this goes back to 2-2. Then 2 of the last 3 games are at home for the Warriors, right?
Yeah.
I wonder if the lines flip-flop then. Because right now, the Celtics have home court advantage. So if the Warriors win one of these next 2 games, then they're back to home court advantage. And I wonder if we'll see the odds flip.
Yep. It makes a lot of sense.
So that means if you do like the Warriors, you're getting value now if they're able to get a split.
Yeah.
And you're going to feel quite dumb if the Celtics win both of them. Well, not dumb. You just, looking at other people eating pizza that didn't do that.
Oh man, this
Any
is
final thoughts before
amazing.
we end this really good show?
No, I mean I think we talked about this is almost like your Manny's pub, but just the 2 of us.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and we're sober.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, I mean I think we'll talk about it a little bit more. Are we doing another show tomorrow? Is that right?
We are, and we'll have the analytics that I mentioned. Has a team won an NBA final after being dominated the way they were.
I can't wait to hear
that. And a whole bunch of anything that comes to mind. We can run the queries and then present them tomorrow. I think that'll be good, and then maybe some final game props. I don't really have any thought on the MVP anymore. I don't think there's any opportunity there unless you go with Brown at 750. That's the only thing I see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't think the rest of them have a chance to close the gap on what Curry's done, especially.
Nah.
And I think Tatum is way overvalued.
Mm-hmm.
It was like Netflix stock about a month ago.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, this was a good show. I think we talked a lot about a lot of things here, and tomorrow we'll bring in a different aspect to what we see in these games.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't wait for it. And until then, make sure you get over to sportsmemo.com. Take advantage of $2 Tuesday. There's 3 gentlemen, or if Dion's part of that, 2 gentlemen and a lady of Vegas. involved, but make sure you get over there because you can get all three of those guys for $5, and they wouldn't be on the Sports Memo site if they weren't elite professional sports bettors that know what the hell they're doing. So for $5, you can get all three of them today. Make sure you get over and do that. And until then, remember the two things I tell you: bet with your head, not over it, and may all the wins be yours. We'll see you tomorrow.